Bien le bonjour à toutes et à tous, j'espère que vous allez bien, vous êtes actuellement sur Jeux Vidéo Magazine, bienvenue pour cette petite émission matinale, il est 7h30 et c'est parti pour une petite dose d'actualité. On devrait lancer une émission matinale où j'ai cette voix pendant tout le long. Je pense que ce serait vraiment bien. Bien le bonjour, hello, je crie pas très fort parce que il est quand même 7h30 et que vous avez qu'une chose vraiment que vous voulez éviter, c'est d'entendre ma voix en train de vous hurler dans les oreilles. Donc je vous dis bonjour, j'espère que vous allez bien. Les amis, très content de vous retrouver du coup sur la chaîne pour de nouvelles aventures. Il est 7h30, mais j'ai quand même quelques petits éléments d'actu à vous partager. Des trucs assez sympathiques. Je vais laisser Spencer prendre la parole ce matin sur la chaîne. Parce que justement, il y a eu plein d'informations qui ont été distillées à droite à gauche. Je vous rappelle aussi que depuis la semaine dernière, du coup, ça fait quasiment 7 jours que le rachat d'Activision Blizzard de King a été officialisé par Microsoft. Et justement, Spencer s'est exprimé assez longuement du côté du Xbox Podcast et il répond à pas mal d'interrogations. Ça dure une demi-heure, je propose qu'on mette tout ça ensemble, c'est traduit évidemment en français, et qu'on puisse voir un peu tous les éléments qu'il partage autour du Game Pass, autour de Call of Duty, autour d'anciennes licences, etc. Bref, quand même pas mal de choses, je pense, assez intéressantes pour bien démarrer la journée, avant de se retrouver tout à l'heure pour de nouvelles aventures. Et salut à ceux qui sont évidemment du matin, salut du coup à Foxy94, salut à Cui, B7, 972, c'est le matin, vos pseudos avec des chiffres, s'il vous plaît aidez-moi, arrêtez. Vous voulez pas juste vous appeler Michel, Simon, Timothée ou Bise, je sais pas. Ah, j'y arrive plus. Évidemment, gardez vos pseudos, bien sûr, sinon c'est pas drôle. Salut à Pranxio, salut à Furax24, salut à Mon Pire Cauchemar, MPC Infernal Gaming. Celle-là, j'arrive bien à le lire parce que pour le coup, ton pseudo, je lis assez régulièrement, donc ça c'est cool. Salut à Nico Dark, salut à Jerem Star Gaming, salut à Wallouz, évidemment, qui doit partir en cours. Je sais. En vrai, tu peux partir en cours, c'est bon. Je veux pas être responsable de la déscolarisation d'un abonné, mais tu peux y aller, y a pas de souci. C'est pas grave, tu rattraperas ça plus tard. Au pire des cas, au meilleur des cas, t'es un BG et tu restes avec nous. Whatever, even better. Et salut à MLV également qui est dans le coin. Donc oui, effectivement, voilà, nous allons parler de cette histoire de rachat. On a déjà parlé de ça en long, en large, en travers sur la chaîne à de maintes reprises lors de l'officialisation, mais aussi bien évidemment auparavant avec ces 20 mois de procédures qui viennent de s'achever. Il y a de cela, du coup, quelques jours à peine. Et justement, on a Spencer qui était présent du côté du Xbox Podcast. Et on va pouvoir écouter un peu ce qu'il a à nous raconter ce matin. Je vais juste mettre le petit fond vert. Ah oui, attendez, excusez-moi, j'ai juste fermé la porte, mais je le ferai après avoir lancé le truc. J'espère que tout le monde est bien installé. Alors, je vous invite à faire autre chose entre-temps. Si jamais vous devez vous préparer pour aller bosser, si jamais vous devez faire quelque chose en particulier, n'hésitez pas à faire cette chose, manger, bref, faites-vous plaisir. Sous la douche, par contre, je sais pas trop si c'est autorisé, mais en tout cas, voilà, faites-le. Et du coup, on va être parti pour la réaction. 10 ans de Game Pass? Ah non, pas du tout. Donc, je vous ai passé évidemment volontairement le début, parce qu'en fait, surtout, il y a une introduction, et aussi, ça parle de Halo et de Minecraft. Je vais aller directement sur la partie qui nous intéresse, c'est pour ça que le chapitrage YouTube, c'est incroyable. Bref, on va écouter tout ce qu'il a à nous raconter, bien sûr.
Love to continue talking about that with you, Phil. Also, the big deal has closed on Friday, and I'm seeing a lot of headlines.
Juste fermer la porte, j'arrive tout de suite.
It's done. And we were talking earlier. This isn't the end. This is really the beginning with Xbox and Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, I think the regulatory process, let's just say it took so long that it almost felt like the game or the kind of goal itself was to get through the regulatory process. That's just the beginning. In fact, this evening I'm flying to Stockholm to see the King team. It's a team I don't know that well, so I'm really excited.
Il va voir King là dans un premier temps, et je crois qu'après il va voir Activision. Maintenant que le rachat est fait.
But I'm really excited about seeing the teams. The following week, I'm going down to Southern California. I'll go to Blizzard. I'll go see Activision. And to me, when I think about where
oui, tout à l'heure, mais j'ai envie de le montrer quand même. Enfin, j'ai pas dit que c'était une breaking news. Faut quand même en parler sur la chaîne, on en a pas parlé sur la chaîne.
And because their passion, their commitment to the things that they build, the way they run their games, that comes from the culture of who they are. I've said it many times. I think teams ship their culture in everything they do, whether it's implicit or explicit. You can kind of feel the dynamic on a team and the creative output, whether it's a band, whether it's a writer, whatever. So spending time with the teams and getting to hear from them where they're going. I have some of my own opinions, of course, but they're just opinions. This is getting time with the teams, thinking about where we're trying to go, then looking at the games and where we are and where the roadmap. That's really where the work is, and I'm very, very excited about that.
And as part of that journey, obviously there's the big burning question that everybody would like to know, and you mentioned it in your Xbox Wire
When's Hexen
post.
coming back? That's what people want to
Ah oui,
know.
c'est par
I think
rapport aux
that's what
licences.
you want to know.
Might be one of my questions. Might
Yes.
be.
Un petit code de
But
Spider-Man.
it's
On est
part
sur
of
la live
it, but
Xbox,
it's
les gars.
also- and you wrote in your Xbox Wire post last week as well that the work has started on bringing Activision Blizzard King games to Game Pass and other platforms. And I think like speculation and wish lists have been running wild
Yeah,
ever since
yeah.
last week. So I'm sure you've seen all of that. But what does that mean exactly, especially when we think about our last acquisition in 2021 with Bethesda? There was a fairly immediate drop of
There
back
was.
catalog games. So
C'est
I think
rapide, hein.
people are looking to that and wondering, is that
Même si
kind
on sait
of
que cette année, il y aura
development
rien,
format
du
is
coup,
gonna
ça a été
go
confirmé.
now, or what does that actually look
And
like?
I think rightfully so, right? When we finished Bethesda, there was this great moment. We were able to put a bunch of the back catalog games in, celebrate their history. The truth of the matter is, with Activision Blizzard King, that the regulatory process took so long, and frankly, there was a lot of uncertainty in that process up until really a week before we closed, or the week of, when the CMA finally came down to their
Ah, les
decision,
gars.
that we weren't
Sérieux?
able to get in and work with it's mostly Activision and Blizzard in this case, on that back catalog.
Après qu'ils aient pas
work.
été
So
sûrs,
now
je
that the
comprends.
deal is closed, we're starting
Après, de
that
là à
work,
dire que
but
c'était
there
à
is
une
work.
semaine près,
And I know, I think
je...
the Activision Twitter handle or X handle, whatever we're calling it, did
You don't
put
have to
out a
call it
statement.
that.
I can't call it that, but Twitter handle did put out something that talked about 2024. I think
Après, c'est vrai
that's
qu'eux, ils l'ont
accurate.
fait dans leur coin, mais
There's no,
pour le Game Pass.
there's
on
no.
peut.
I would love it if there was some kind of secret celebration drop that's coming in the next couple of weeks. There's
serait bien.
not.
Bah, y en a
It's
pas.
definitely when we
C'est-à-dire qu'en
think
fait,
about
même
the
les jeux
games
back
that are
back
there,
catalogue
I would be straight.
sont pas là, en
If
fait.
we were gonna put them in this
Autant on
situation
pouvait
this year, I would
s'en
tell
douter pour
people,
Code,
and I know
ou
there'll be
Diablo,
some disappointment about
parce que c'est
that.
vrai que c'est pour
This
2024,
acquisition
mais
is definitely long-term.
même les anciens
So
jeux
the fact that
Activision,
we're
il y aura
not
rien dans le
on
Game
day
Pass
one
cette
with a
année,
bunch
ça me
of
paraît
games
clair.
dropping in to Game Pass is a little bit of a downer, but I'm very excited about the future.
Mais
and I just
2024,
wanna
ça va
be
être
straight
sympa,
with
parce que du
people
coup, il y aura
that
plein
that's where
de...
we are.
There you go, addressing the rumors. Now let's talk about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 coming out next month. Very excited. I played the beta over the
The
weekend.
open beta, what do you think?
It's very interesting getting humbled by your reaction time going down every single year.
Okay, young man.
It's very clear
I
that
count my reaction time in like tens of seconds now.
well, people are getting.
C'est vrai qu'il a
really good
répondu en
at the
3
game.
secondes.
To
La
that
bêta,
point,
c'est
like
bon.
people are really excited about it. And I think for players who may not be playing on Xbox, they want to know what does this mean for them on their platform. Like, is Xbox going to see exclusive DLC, early release,
Oui,
things like that? So
c'est
what
vrai.
can you tell players who are
C'est vrai, côté
looking
Code, on se pose la
to
question.
play
Quoi.
Call of Duty on other
And when we
platforms?
say other platforms, I think we're talking about PlayStation.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, that
that's
other one?
of them.
Oh.
Yeah.
C'est
I
tout
because I think the PC players, their PC is unique, and I want it to feel like it's part of the overall gaming platform that Xbox focuses on. We've been
Salut
on that
DRK,
journey
bah
for a
écoute,
while
profite
with
bien.
our first party and our Xbox app on PC.
Merci d'être
There's a
là.
lot of work for us to continue to do there. For Call of Duty players on PlayStation and in the future on Nintendo, I want you to feel 100% part of the community. I don't want you to feel like there's content you're missing out, there's skins you're missing out, there's timing that you're missing
Ah,
out
tu sais,
on.
Philou, le fait
That's
de
not
penser
the
comme
goal.
ça, c'est
The
bien,
goal
parce
is
que
100%
PlayStation
parity
ne
across all
pensait pas comme ça.
platforms as much as we can for launch and content.
Faut dire les
I
termes,
say
hein.
as much as we can on parity because clearly some platforms have resolution and frame rate differences just based on perf. But there's nothing else. Like we have no goal of somehow trying to use Call of Duty.
C'est un truc de ouf parce que,
to
en
get
fait,
you to
genre,
buy an
moi,
Xbox
on était
console.
clair que
So
Call of
it
serait
is-
jamais
I want
exclusif.
the Call of Duty Nation
à
to feel
Xbox.
supported across all
Par
platforms.
contre,
We've been on the other
les
side
gars,
of some of those skins and times. Even this beta, like, it wasn't on Xbox the first week. Like,
Mais
I don't think that helps the community. I don't think that helps the game. And so it's the focus. If
alors
you're a
factuellement, t'as
PlayStation
raison,
player,
mais
Nintendo player, PC player,
ça sert à
or
quoi
an
que ce soit
Xbox
sur
console
PlayStation en
player, I
premier
want
du
you
coup?
to feel like 100%
La
part
bêta.
of the Call of Duty Nation.
Franchement, les gars, vous avez mis quand même
So, let's talk
80
about,
milliards
we
sur
were
la
talking
table.
about the rumors
Foutez
of
des semaines
when,
en priorité sur Xbox,
things
hein, vous avez
might
le droit. Hein.
appear on Game Pass.
C'est votre
The
but,
other
les frères.
sort
Hein.
of, like, set of rumors is, or
There's never-ending
speculation out there.
rumors.
If there's only the two, right? Is like,
There are only two.
are you bringing back Guitar Hero or Tony Hawk?
Tony Hawk, c'est
or
voilà.
would
Guitar
you
Hero, c'est
have,
sûr que ça va revenir.
you know, Infinity Ward work on this Xbox IP or franchise or something like that. And that stuff's been, you know, there was 20 months to think about those types of things.
Yeah.
But now that officially the team has joined as of Friday, so you have 9 studios, there's a wealth of IP from Activision. Like, how are you thinking about these new teams, these new franchises, or new
Par contre, l'avantage, c'est que ça va permettre aussi aux gens de chez Acti d'apporter plein de trucs.
The first thing, as I kind of mentioned before, is to go spend time with the teams. Because I just don't think that a team working on something that isn't their passion leads to the best result. So I might have my list of things from my memories in history that I want to see made again. Everybody will, right? When I just think about, not just about Activision Blizzard King, you add in Bethesda, you add in Xbox's history, Rare, like the amount of franchises that we now have in our portfolio is
plutôt inspirant, oui, c'est clair.
It's kind of inspiring, it's
Salut,
daunting. I feel that we have to be a great custodian for the content that we touch. These are memories from people on different platforms, different decades.
C'est vrai, ça.
And I want to make sure that when we're going back and visiting something, that we do it with our complete ability, a motivated team that wants to go
comme Perfect Dark,
work
du
on
coup.
something and make a difference, not just
Perfect Dark, il est où?
create something for financial gain or create
Bon.
something for a PR announcement.
Une bonne année,
and
là,
not
quand même.
deliver, on the product. So I'm going to start with the teams and what are they passionate about. That's why I'm excited
Salut à
to
toi,
go
Tronc,
on these
bonne journée.
visits.
Salut à
And then we'll look at it. Like I think we've done
François.
an okay job as Xbox. I don't think we've done kind of an A+ job on looking at our franchises.
Bon, l'idée, c'est aussi de prendre le temps avant de revisiter certaines franchises.
It's always a trade-off.
Ça paraît clair.
Ça
me paraît good.
I do think with Game Pass, we have the ability to maybe pick a couple franchises every year and almost do like a revisited. I just made up that term, so it's not a brand.
It's not on a box.
It's not on a box, but you know, I tease about things like Hexen just because I remember playing it as a kid. I have no plan for that, but I do think when you look across all of the franchises in our
il faut bien les exploiter, c'est sûr.
There's an opportunity for us to go back, even if it's just to recognize the moment and what those things meant in gaming's history and do something right with it, make it available to people through Game Pass. I think there's an opportunity. There's not a plan for that, but there's an opportunity. If teams want to go back and revisit some of the things that we have.
Je pense aussi que en termes effectivement de backlog et en termes d'histoire, ça peut être pas mal de mettre de vieux jeux dans le Game Pass.
Touch again. It doesn't have to just be about Activision and Blizzard. Like I said, when you look across
vous savez que là, d'ici quelques jours, on va fêter les 10 ans de l'Xbox One. En 10 ans, il va falloir faire un... Je pense que je vais faire une vidéo là-dessus. Hein. Je sais pas ce que vous en pensez, mais... On va peut-être faire une vidéo sur Xbox 10 ans. Enfin, Xbox One 10 ans plus tard, qu'est-ce qui s'est passé, quoi.
So you mentioned the trove of content, the treasure trove, and you've mentioned Hexen. I think so. It fits. But are there, you know, Hexen's maybe
bonne journée de cours, Walous.
It's a shooter from the 90s, and we obviously have a very wide-ranging community. Are there any other games or franchises, just for you personally, deep in the vault, that we can now potentially explore, that you're just personally excited for people to discover for the first time or maybe rediscover?
Je veux juste pas trop de remake, par contre.
About that question. Specific on Activision and Blizzard, you know, there's some moments in Activision's history. You mentioned Tony Hawk, you mentioned Guitar Hero, even things like Skylanders, or that were moments where the teams kind of innovated outside of expectation. What do you mean? I'm going to carry a plastic guitar?
Yeah, I want to thank Momo because he's the best and love everything he does.
Until it worked, and then everybody said, "Well, of course that was."
Thank you, guys.
You know, Skylanders kind of the same way. For me personally, though, when I think about the franchises, I kind of go back to things like some of the old Infocom things that were, like you just asked for me personally, part of my youth, the text adventure Zork, those kind of things.
My goodness.
Quest, I thought they did a really nice job. But like those,
je crois même pas que j'étais au stade de projet pour mes parents quand ce jeu est sorti.
Like those things speak to me because they were moments in my gaming career, my gaming kind of experience that really meant something. And I love those. When you think about Blizzard and all these things that they've done, like amazing franchise, StarCraft, like it was in the
Oui, c'est vrai que
teams did, which I know there's been some discussion about.
Crash, Crash Bandicoot, c'est un personnage qui appartient à Xbox quand même, c'est fou.
Some amazing franchises.
C'est fou en fait.
Most important is that we treat them with the respect that they deserve. And we don't.
Bah oui, techniquement, j'étais un projet quoi. Je pense.
100%. By the way, I almost cried at that video. That was a cool video.
Ah mec, le trailer évidemment.
I like
the video. I saw some people.
I thought it was awesome. But so we've been talking about. Obviously, we've been doing the show for a few weeks now. We've been talking about Diablo, Overwatch, all these awesome games that Activision and Blizzard both work on. But we talk about ABK. The K stands for King.
Yeah.
And that's definitely mobile gaming focused. And so, how are you thinking about mobile gaming
la strat mobile là.
Xbox?
My goal as head of Xbox is, I've been here over 20 years. I want Xbox to be a great brand, a great community for people over the next decades to come. So when I've thought about that, of what do we need to have in our portfolio and our capability as a team to ensure 30 years from now, Xbox is bigger and stronger than it is today, we've got to be relevant on mobile. There's just no way to really plot the future without being on the platform that most of the planet plays on. The games are different, the business models are different, the whole dynamic of how you distribute, how you find games is different. So when I was looking at that, I needed to find a team that's had amazing success for us to learn from.
En fait, ça
literally,
fait sens.
Amy Hood, who's the CFO of Microsoft, and I went through a list of who are the most accomplished publishers in the mobile space. And most people wouldn't have expected, I didn't, that Activision would have been as high with the King work, as well as the Call of Duty mobile work, Warzone stuff that they've been doing, Diablo Immortal. And so I want to go learn from those teams because I think it's critical for us to deliver on the full promise of over 2 billion people playing, the opportunity to reach
ça fait sens. Et par contre, quand je pense Acti est parti voir Xbox pour leur dire de les racheter, je pense qu'ils ont dû se dire oh bah oui.
It doesn't mean I want to turn all of our franchises into mobile franchises. It doesn't mean everything's going to go free to play. I think the distribution and business model kind of diversity that we have is a strength of the platform. People who want to buy games, I love that. People want to subscribe to their games, it's great. Free to play games are great as well. But I'm really looking forward to learning on mobile because it's the truth of the matter is if you're going to continue to be relevant in gaming at a global scale, you're going to have to find a way to be relevant on the largest platform, which is
totalement. Mais c'est moqué par des gens, mais mobile, gros challenge.
Like you mentioned, you're heading out to Stockholm here, later today. Xbox is already a big team, and now it is, much bigger with like we mentioned, 9 years.
Après 9, oui et non.
I don't know where you find the time in the day, but how hands-on do you expect you will be with our new teammates?
Yeah, and some people here know that I'm a big consumer of what we do. I play a lot of games. I have opinions. They're not always right. They're definitely not always right. But I've already started asking questions and giving my point of view. I'm not one that says, thou must, like we have to go do this. But asking questions both to learn and to see what we're thinking about and where the ambition is.
Xbox,
but I rely on the teams.
Spencer, il a une Play 5. Hein?
I get the title. I get to come on cool podcasts and talk too much. But the work that happens here is really down to the individuals on the team. From people who are on camera 5 times in the last 5 weeks as opposed to 1 time in the last 5 weeks, the people you can't see that are behind the scenes that make sure these shows happen, the people who are the community managers for the games at places like Minecraft, places like the Forza team.
Salut à Joe,
it is the most important thing.
C'est le plus gros marché le mobile, c'est obligé.
The teams. An empowered and motivated team.
Faut s'attaquer au mobile, faut s'attaquer à du coup aussi à l'Asie du coup, parce que c'est très consommateur de jeux mobiles là-bas.
Maybe I can help. That is if there's anything I can do in my role, it's empower the teams and make them feel safe, make them feel like failure's okay, let's go.
Non, Kevin, en gros c'est en fait c'est parce qu'ils ont pas le choix. S'ils voulaient que la CMA valide le rachat, ils étaient obligés de laisser le truc se faire avec un éditeur, avec Ubisoft. Ils ont qu'est-ce qu'ils ont à y gagner? C'est en échange le fait d'avoir la paix et de pouvoir valider ce rachat. Salut à Tom. Salut à ceux qui me rejoignent.
Playing on Xbox Live P3 and listening to the feedback that people have. Because I want everybody who's part of Xbox, whether you're a customer or you're part of the team, to feel like you have an ability to craft where we're going, as much as I do, frankly.
Parce que je pense qu'Ubisoft est l'éditeur qui a la meilleure infrastructure cloud, a priori, entre autres.
Where we do get that opportunity and see that you give us the range and the space to kind of make decisions in a cumulative way. So thank you for that. I've appreciated that in my last year that I've been here.
Even you and I, before you came here, we would sit down when we would cross paths at events. And I always loved that you had a perspective on things that we were doing well, things that we could do better. It's why I thought you being part of the team would be awesome.
Thank you.
But it is listening to smart people who care about this industry, who care about growing this industry in a safe way, in an inclusive way, and see there's so much opportunity with gaming, interactive entertainment.
Je sais pas qui est la madame côté de lui.
Community, as a form of education, as a form of joy and just fun. There's so much opportunity in this space, but it's not about 3 or 4 people making all the decisions for the industry. It's about the industry feeling like they have hands on the steering wheel as well. So people who I interact with and have a real constructive perspective come be part of Team Xbox.
And on that note, too, I think for me personally, I love what Activision has been doing with Call of Duty Next. They just had one recently, too. Where they show off just tons.
Oui, mais par contre, c'était vachement long. Ça a duré 4 heures, je crois, quasiment. C'est un truc de ouf.
And I love that it is a presentation format, like there is news going into it, but at the same time, they invite over 200 creators and streamers.
I wonder how they do that.
It's wild. Everything is rigged with the ring lights and like their own connection to be able to stream directly into the presentation itself. So they're really welcoming the community into the broadcast, into the news. And to me, it tells me that they have a finger on the pulse in terms of their community, as well as modern ways of approaching broadcast. So obviously, since I'm responsible for what we call premier broadcast here at Xbox, that's something I'm personally really interested
pas systématiquement le cas, parce que Activision, quand même, ils sont cool, hein, mais ils ont leurs défauts aussi quand même.
So now that Activision Blizzard leadership is reporting to you, what does that mean, and how do we come together to learn from each other?
Du coup, Bobby, par contre,
we're a big team, especially when we think about greater Microsoft, right? It can, for teams coming in, I think sometimes it can be overwhelming. I think maybe in the case of Bethesda, I think about that journey and some areas where I wanted us to go faster and maybe some areas where I wanted us to go slower. Bethesda was a little different just from our own history because it closed during a pandemic, which had its own set of issues in terms of us getting the teams together. My first goal is to identify the teams at ABK where we can create connection. One of the cool things about going to King is, as I think you mentioned, we have the Mojang studio there. There's already a lot of shared history between those two teams. Now they're all part of the same company. So I don't think we're going to be in the way.
Ah oui, mais c'est possible que vous ayez vu ça hier. Hein. C'est juste que moi, je voulais en parler quand même sur la chaîne. Mais oui, vous ne devenez pas fou. Vous ne devenez pas fou.
I've never been to a BlizzCon, so that would be fun. Maybe Michael will invite me, we'll see. But for me, it's identifying the teams, making sure they're settled, because you got to think about these are teams that have been under a certain kind of ownership structure for 40 years.
Du coup, salut Nick.
And now all of a sudden they're part of Microsoft. They're part of Xbox. So showing up, being there in person. When I'm going to Stockholm, it's not just me. Our leadership team is going. I want to be listening more than talking. And then finding those opportunities. I'll say my inbox is already full from a lot of people at Activision, Blizzard, and King who want to make those connections, who want to both have a
Yo, Phil, what's up, man?
Also listen and from how we do things. So I think the opportunity is going to be there. It's going to be making the connections between our leaders.
I'm from Scotland.
And making sure we all go in with a learning mentality. Not that we know what's right, but let's listen and learn. Because they do a ton of things very, very well.
It's all about that dialogue. Now I want to take a look back to take a look forward. So almost a decade ago, you got the job. I remember the video of you in Studio D with Larry. I don't know if you...
I know, yeah.
C'est vrai qu'il était jeune.
From time to time, because it's really interesting to see how Xbox's vision and journey has changed. And now we're going through this new phase with Activision, Blizzard, King, Bethesda. What is getting you as excited as you were back then about where Xbox is going?
You know, it's funny. I think there were a lot of cartoons written for when Larry and I did that of me saying games, I think dropping some mic. I don't actually think I said that, but the sentiment was nice. I've always thought that having a strong creative organization was going to be critical.
Bah moi Spencer, vous savez, ça fait partie de mes objectifs de l'interview. Hein. C'est premier degré. Hein. Et l'occasion est passée comme ça devant moi à plein d'occasions. Mais parce qu'il y a eu d'autres médias qui ont eu à la place, etc. Et pour le coup, ça, je ne vais pas jeter la pierre à qui que ce soit, parce que ce sont des choses qui arrivent et qu'un Spencer, c'est pas tout le monde qui peut l'avoir. Je pense que je réussirai à avoir Phil Spencer, un de ces quatre. Je pense que je réussirai à avoir une interview. Je le sens. C'est fortement possible. Je sais juste pas quand. Avant qu'il parte à la retraite. Ce serait bien, ouais. Et même s'il part à la retraite, hein, moi je trouverais ça hyper intéressant de le rencontrer quand même. Enfin, de discuter avec lui, quoi. Clobry!
He's very good at building graphics. He built that like 2017 to now. I kind of looked at it and I was almost daunted by the change. And people want to go on Twitter and find him. He's an awesome member of the Xbox community and creates great graphics. But the growth in our creative capability was something that I thought was important from the beginning. Certain people would get upset that it wasn't going fast enough. Our first acquisition was Minecraft, and then we went through and we Double Fine and Undead and the list of a bunch of playgrounds.
Moi, je trouve que c'est passé vachement vite quand même.
I'm gonna miss some, but like we added a bunch of teams, and then Bethesda.
Je trouve ça quand même assez rapide. Ceux qui disent c'est trop lent les acquisitions et tout.
Incredibly excited. I'd be remiss if I didn't say a little intimidated. You know, I see a lot of people who claim I've been trained for this job. I think you all know that there's no training I go through, right? I'm always learning every day, both on the PR side and from the leadership side. So it's maybe when I thought about starting my career, I never thought this is where I would be. But when I talk to the teams and I hear from the individuals who want to be part of this, and the opportunity that we have ahead of us, that's the part that just gets me up every morning, 5 o'clock this morning, ready to do this, ready to go to Stockholm today, ready to sit with teams. I love playing games. I love creating games, and what an amazing opportunity for us.
Phil, thank you so much for taking time, you know, during what is probably the busiest
time of your
career or life.
At least I don't have a tie and I'm not in court, right? That's
But it was a good suit.
You like
yeah, everybody liked it.
I saw it in Spirit Halloween. You can be like someone walking behind with the coffee. We're going to reenact that later on.
Bon, et ben voilà un peu ce qui a été partagé. Après, c'est surtout ce à quoi il joue un peu en ce moment et tout, mais je ne ferai que retarder un peu votre temps. Voilà donc ce qui est dit du côté de monsieur Phil Spencer. Globalement, ce que vous devez retenir, c'est qu'on n'aura pas donc de jeu du côté d'Activision, Blizzard, tout ça. Dans le Game Pass, ça n'arrivera pas avant du coup 2024. Ça semble totalement logique, même en termes de back catalogue. On avait déjà eu la confirmation par rapport à Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3 et Diablo 4, que ce sont des jeux qui sont sortis cette année, mais qui n'arriveraient pas cette année dans le Game Pass. Beaucoup de gens imaginaient peut-être éventuellement une petite surprise pour avoir différents jeux du back catalogue sortis il y a très longtemps dans le Game Pass. Spencer confirme donc que ça n'arrivera pas pour cette année, ce qui est absolument pas grave. C'est pas comme si on avait 40 milliards de jeux à faire en ce moment, donc je vous avoue que c'est quand même un peu rassurant. Autre point intéressant aussi, donc voilà, on sait qu'il part à Stockholm actuellement pour rencontrer les équipes de King, qui va ensuite aller en Caroline du Sud pour rencontrer les équipes d'Activision actuellement. Et du côté de Blizzard, il va aussi s'y rendre. L'autre point aussi qui est intéressant, c'est par rapport aux anciennes licences qui devraient... du coup revenir éventuellement. Tout le monde se fait sa petite to-do list, tout le monde imagine un peu ce qu'il pourrait y avoir comme retour. Spencer déclare qu'on est quand même sur un système où les licences doivent être traitées avec beaucoup de respect et donc ils doivent réfléchir à 8 fois avant de faire revenir une licence, mais que déjà dans un premier temps, même si le rachat est validé et qu'il est effectif, il y a quand même déjà cette première étape d'aller à la rencontre des gens, d'aller à la rencontre des studios et de pouvoir créer du lien, de la connexion avec les nouvelles équipes des Biquets. Voilà donc à peu près par rapport à ce qui se dit. J'espère que j'ai rien oublié, mais je pense que c'est à peu près bon. Je vais juste voir rapidos ce qu'il en est. Non, c'est une licence COP. Tac. Ah oui, juste par rapport à Call of Duty, effectivement, et je résume une dernière fois. Apparemment, Xbox ne voudrait pas mettre en place un système où on aurait des skins, des avantages aussi pour les joueurs Xbox pour ce qui est des bêtas de Call of Duty. En tout cas, pour le moment, c'est pas le plan qui semble se dessiner parce que Spencer dit j'ai pas envie d'amputer ou d'ostraciser d'autres joueurs. Donc l'objectif c'est de faire en sorte que tout le monde se sente bien. Sur PC c'est un écosystème à part, mais sur PlayStation il a quand même envie que les joueurs se sentent pas exclus. Alors est-ce que c'est une bonne solution ou pas? Moi je considère qu'à partir du moment où tu mets 80 milliards sur la table, tu fais absolument ce que tu veux. On est bon après, ça c'est mon simple et mon humble avis, à titre personnel. Mais voilà, et pour finir, dernier point important, c'est par rapport au mobile. Le mobile, Xbox va s'y pencher davantage. Je dis pas pour le coup qu'on aura toutes les licences qui seront portées sur mobile et que ça va être Mobile Land, mais que forcément quand tu rachètes King, et que tu te rends compte aussi que Activision fait Call of Duty Mobile, etc. C'est quand même un point sur lequel Microsoft a beaucoup à apprendre et Spencer a envie d'y aller sur le mobile. Ça a évidemment fait le lien avec les idées d'Xbox Store du côté du mobile, ce qui pourrait permettre à Microsoft de vendre des jeux ou alors de gagner de l'argent via les free-to-play, via les skins, tout ça, directement sur quand même le support le plus populaire de la planète en termes de jeux vidéo. Voilà en tout cas par rapport aux déclarations de Spencer. Vous n'êtes pas fou, c'est pas un truc qui est tombé à l'instant, c'est pour ça que j'ai pas écrit breaking news, pour le coup c'est pas un truc qui vient de tomber, mais en tout cas c'est tombé hier. Il me semble, mais hier j'étais pas là. Donc en tout cas, au moins on est plutôt clair là-dessus et on part sur de bonnes bases. Je vous remercie beaucoup d'avoir suivi ce petit live les amis. Merci infiniment d'avoir été présent avec moi ce matin sur la chaîne. Pour ceux qui mettent la rediffusion, bah écoutez, j'espère que ça vous a plu et que vous avez bien pu un peu profiter de tous les propos avec le contexte et le jus qui est bien dit par rapport à Phil Spencer. Et puis je vous dis à très vite sur la chaîne pour de nouvelles aventures, en l'occurrence dès tout à l'heure pour de nouvelles aventures. Je vais pas dire quoi, je vais pas dire de nouvelles aventures. Voilà, gros bisous. Passez une très bonne journée. Pour ceux qui vont en cours, bah bonne journée de cours. Pour ceux qui vont au boulot, bah bon boulot. Pour ceux qui font rien, eh bah reposez-vous bien. Voilà, prenez soin de vous et on se tient au courant évidemment dans la journée. On va se revoir. Comptez sur nous. C'était Momo pour JVM. La bise, jouez bien et prenez soin de vous et bon matin à vous. Ciao.